So today's been a weird day, and I had the urge to make something. I feel like a lot kind of happened in my brain today, and I wanted to document it in some way. I've been having the urge to vlog, but like I don't really want to just repeat everything that we talked about, because like me and my boyfriend had a long sort of winding conversation, and it was interesting and exhausting for me because basically I've been doing a lot of work on like specific triggers that I feel like I have, because for a long time okay, I'm getting stressed. See, this is what was happening earlier. Like, me and my boyfriend were talking about a situation, and I was getting like worked up trying to explain it to him, and trying to explain like my experience, my point of view, and like the more we were talking about it, the more I realized that he has like he's had a totally different experience and like upbringing than me, and so he didn't experience a lot of the stressful things that I did, that I feel like have made me the way that I am now. And I think at times I feel like we are very similar, and so whenever he doesn't understand like more irrational things like drama and attachment theory is not irrational, but like, I don't know, I've done a lot of research and work on like psychology, and to try to understand like why I do the things I do and like where they came from. And the more we talk about it, the more I realize that like he had a really good childhood, and mine was a little more complex, and so he just like doesn't really get like what it feels like. He doesn't get exactly what it feels like to like over or underreact to some specific things. I know that sounds like really vague, but hopefully that kind of explains the general idea. And so yeah, it was just kind of a hard conversation for me to have, because like it's not comfortable to experience triggers or emotions in general, and then when you're trying to explain them to someone or validate them to someone who maybe is thinking about it more logically, or just like really can't put themselves in that place, it's like kind of compounds the stress, because then on top of it you feel misunderstood. So it was kind of an interesting, but then the conversation I feel like ended well, and I felt like we kind of like, it was sort of like a, how do I put this, just like, I can't really just set it on this pillow. We did this sort of like uncomfortable dance, like ego dance. I mean, my ego is probably way more activated, but it was interesting because like was getting stressed, that I felt like, oh boy, like he really doesn't get it, like this is kind of hard to explain. I was sort of getting like more and more stressed, and then that makes me want to like shut down. But the more we talked about it, the more I saw like different perspectives, and I saw like maybe that he was saying something totally different than what I was saying, and that he wasn't misunderstanding what I was saying. He just was like saying something different, like we were kind of saying two different things. So that happened a lot. I guess this works. Like, this is still kind of me documenting that. I just like whenever I feel like I have a productive conversation or like some kind of psychological breakthrough, I really want to make something out of it, like document it or vlog it or something, and like solidify its importance. I always have the urge to like turn some of our conversations into podcasts. Like when we were talking, I was thinking like, wow, that would have made kind of it like that whole interaction, like including me getting sort of flustered and upset and like leaving the room a couple times. That whole trajectory could have been like kind of an interesting thing to watch, because I really enjoy watching stuff like that. Like I enjoy watching people have any kind of like breakdown or mental breakdown or sort of like fragile, vulnerable moment. I like watching that because it's uncomfortable for me to personally experience. So if I can find someone who's breaking down in a way that I can understand, it helps me understand my own stuff better. And usually I can understand most people's breakdowns, so you just can watch and you can sort of be like, I think that's what's happening, interesting, I can see like what they're thinking there, and you sort of empathize with them, and that is really helpful to me processing my own stuff. So yeah, I was thinking like if we filmed that or recorded that, it could have been an interesting thing for someone else to watch, even though it would have been really embarrassing for me, because like people always get teared apart whenever, you know, like YouTubers or reality TV stars, they're like, they get a lot of hate for acting crazy or having a breakdown of any kind. And so I think that really scares me. But it would be interesting to watch, because like it did kind of all come full circle. And like I was thinking in my head, like, you know, when you watch someone, like if you ever watch like a YouTuber who maybe you don't like hate watch them, but like they kind of annoy you sometimes, and you keep watching them because you empathize with them, like maybe they're a little unstable or crazy or unhinged or like just whatever, they're dumb, like you can see through them, or you can see, you know, their flaws and their weaknesses, and so it kind of frustrates you to watch. But like you see their low moments and you're like, oh God, why are they acting like that? And then they show like their human side, or like you can tell that they sort of have changed their perspective a little, or you can tell like they come around and you're like, oh, okay, like, you know, they're not so bad. It sort of humanizes them, because I think when we watch people online, we watch celebrities, like you get so, we jump to conclusions really quick, and like if people make a mistake based off of like one thing, then you kind of judge them really all around for that, like really harshly. It's really easy to be so detached that you judge celebrities based on these like one thing they do. But with YouTube, especially people who vlog, you kind of get more of a sense of their whole personality, and there's more redeeming moments. The double-edged sword to that, though, is that you also see more of their low moments, I feel like, if you're on YouTube versus if you're like a celebrity. So when me and my boyfriend were having this whole like weird, stressful talk, and there were times where I was feeling really ashamed and probably thought that I seemed crazy or like obnoxious or like really insecure or something, and I was like, oh god, like I feel like I'm coming off weird right now, but that's just how it is sometimes. But by the end I was like, actually, if this was being filmed, I think that this would be one of those things where I would have empathy for the person at the end. So maybe that sounds like super narcissistic, but as someone who watches YouTube a lot and is really hyper aware of appearances, I guess, it was kind of comforting to think about it that way. And it sort of made me feel empowered, like maybe I can, you know, show my messy side. Maybe I can like not be ashamed of this stuff, and maybe I can be imperfect. Maybe I can be misunderstood, and like trust that people will give me the benefit of the doubt, or give me another chance, or trust that people will and try to understand if they want to, but that like not everyone is going to. And I think I'm getting closer to that feeling, because I'm seeing the benefits of it more and more. Like if you just give in to whatever you're going through in the moment, like within reason, but you just stop judging every reaction you have, every mannerism, you stop like judging all your behaviors so much. They come and go so much more freely, and then like you're able, because like people are made up of good and bad behaviors, but like the way we decide if someone's good or bad, or if there's someone we want to be around or not, is if the good outweighs the bad. So like I can have bad parts of me, and like I can act poorly as long as I act good, like more often than I act bad, you know? And as long as there's more of like an integration, we don't have to act like perfect and mature and good all the time, because there's a lot of things, patterns and habits in our brain that control us, that we don't even realize are controlling us sometimes. And like that's something that I've been realizing, and that is kind of what this whole conversation was originally. It was making a connection between like why some of the issues that I've been having at my job feel so heavy and hard for me to deal with. Because for my boyfriend, he's just like, just don't worry about it. And I'm like, I can't, like, I don't know why, but this is so, there's something here, I don't know. And, yeah, like, I definitely had some triggers around that. And it was definitely like, I think I have a lot of people-pleasing tendencies sort of conditioned into me. Like I freeze up a lot, and I sort of numb and repress things when I feel stressed, when I feel uncomfortable, when I feel anything. I sort of like push it down immediately and blame myself. And that's something I learned to do as a kid. So I didn't realize that this, whatever was happening, the circumstances at my job were making me feel like I had to do that again, even though, I mean, I didn't have to, but I felt like I had to. I guess the environment just sort of reminded me of my family, or the specific situation I was in reminded me of my family. Like it made me feel cornered and sort of powerless and small. And for some reason, I mean, not for some reason, for a very clear psychological reason, that caused everything to feel a lot heavier, because yeah, it was bringing out like my worst self just like a side of me that I really don't like. And yeah, so that's what the conversation was about, and what I was trying to explain to my boyfriend. And to him, it's much simpler. You know, I don't need to carry all this stuff. I don't need to let it affect me. You know, just take things one day at a time, focus on, and this is all good advice, but it's harder to change like really ingrained patterns than just thinking yourself out of them. So yeah. Ooh. What's this?